Hey, HannahMouse1 here. Welcome back to Devlog 2 for the Dragon game. Still don't have a name. If you have any ideas, let me know. I'm open to any and all suggestions. And you might have some ideas by the end of this video because I'm going to dive into the game's concept, which I've really developed in my head over the past month, giving me a clear plan of how I want to move forward. Basically, this video will act as a game design doc, but in video form, obviously. Oh, and all of this is absolutely 100% definitely subject to change, so bear with me if some things feel a bit rough around the edges. So my idea is that the game will be split into 3 portions that you have to kind of go between to progress. The first is exploration. You will explore a hand-drawn world full of fun, exciting places, and in each one you slay a dragon and obtain the dragon's egg. This portion is mostly about combat, with lots of small monsters to hold up your progress, and of course the boss fight at the end. The second portion is ranching. Once you've obtained your dragon egg trophy, you can go back to your home ranch where there'll be some sort of laboratory. Here an NPC will analyze and clone the egg, allowing you to raise that dragon on the farm. You'll have to grow food to feed the dragon, with different dragons liking different types of food, and they'll produce some sort of item that you can sell or craft unique items with. The final portion of the game will be preparation. There'll be a town near your farm where you can buy new gear, stock up on healing supplies, and generally become stronger to get ready for your next expedition. My plan is that bosses will have 5 elements: plant, water, fire, earth, and ghost, with each boss having either 1 or 2 from that list. There'll be 1 boss per combination. Each of these elements will also be associated with a negative effect, which I think will be that plant type's attack will cause a thorns effect, where the player attacking the enemy will also hurt the player. Water attacks will cause some sort of slippery effect that will cause the player to slide around with reduced friction. Fire attacks will burn the player, which will inflict damage over time. Earth attacks will cause a dust storm that will obscure the screen around the player, making it difficult to see what you're doing. And ghost attacks will cause slowness. At least that's what I'm thinking of as of now, and these are highly likely to change. Each dragon will have a signature elemental move that will cause the player to suffer these afflictions if hit, and I plan to have some way for the player to use these signature moves themselves once they've defeated the boss, which is inspired by the Unleash spell from Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. I don't know if it will act exactly like it does in that game, where you have a move that just encompasses all of the available Unleash moves, or if it will be a case where whatever item that the dragon on the ranch produces allows the player to craft an item that can use the move, or if maybe that it's something else that can be developed in the lab. Yeah, I'm not super definite on how that's going to level out, but I know that that's something that I want in that vein. As for how linear or open this game's going to be, there's going to be a completely linear tutorial sequence that guides you through killing your first dragon, the winged grass snake, which is a pure plant type dragon. It will remain linear until you've bred the grass snake on your ranch, and then the game will open up considerably. You'll be able to defeat the rest of the dragons in almost any order, although dragons with single elements will be considerably easier than dragons with 2 different elements, and the player will be guided towards those first. Major story beats will be locked behind the number of dragons that you've unlocked, and some subplots or side quests may require a specific dragon to be slain in order to activate. But I haven't planned much of the story yet, and I really need to get the gameplay loop pegged down first. One problem with games that let you go wherever you want is that sometimes the player will go off the beaten path to gear up for a boss or an area that they're struggling with, only to way overdo it, then find little enjoyment when they completely cheese the boss that's supposed to be a formidable challenge. In a way, it sort of requires the player to balance the game for themselves and offers little incentive to return to previous areas. I have a few ideas of how I want to circumvent this. First, there'll be obstacles that will require a certain strength of weapon to break. This was inspired by areas like the secret woods in Stardew Valley that needed an upgraded axe to access. Therefore, I can have areas that the player can't access in early areas of the game to draw them back and to give them more to explore later on. Letting the player see these areas will also create a sense of mystery and something to work towards as they wonder what could be behind the obstacle that they've seen. Second, I want to have certain events, kind of like the blood moon or solar eclipse from Terraria. In these events, unique mobs will spawn, encouraging players to return to old zones in order to defeat all of the different mobs and to collect new gear. And this is something else that I could look behind how many dragons the player has unlocked. For instance, maybe werewolves will only spawn in the starting zone during a full moon, and a full moon can only occur once 4 dragons have been collected by the player. And finally, certain story events might unlock new areas or monsters and might require the player to go back to old areas and fight new enemies. Again, this was kind of influenced by Ni no Kuni, where in the late game you have to return to the 3 major cities you visited, but now they're infested with powerful mana zombies, allowing the player to revisit a familiar location through a new lens. So what's my actual plan moving forwards? Personally, I find it super motivating to get a build ready to play as fast as humanly possible. And that also allows me to start collecting some feedback. So I'm going to start working on a demo that I'm going to release for free on itch, hopefully in as short a time as a few months. This will only cover the linear intro tutorial section that I mentioned earlier, and will likely be the only completely public free build of the game. After that, I'll probably do some closed betas up through to release, possibly for the people on my Discord, which is linked down below if you're interested. And when I do release a game, it will be for money, as this is going to be a lot of work and I can't mooch off my parents forever. What will be in this tutorial zone? Well, it needs to break down all of the major features to the player, starting with basic combat and equipping weapons. It will introduce the player to the concept that some obstacles need to be destroyed to unlock new areas, and the player will fight their first boss. Once defeated, the boss will drop their egg, the player will take it to the lab to get it processed, they'll have to build an enclosure, and there'll also be some things to do in town, such as getting a weapon from the blacksmith or something. I don't know if that sounded like as much work as it's going to be. Things like that always sound a lot less effort when condensed into simple bullet points, but I guarantee that this is a lot to be getting on with. And that's really what I've been working on this month, focusing on the combat side of everything and fleshing out the first area. I don't claim to know what I'm doing by any means. I am really stumbling my way through the coding, but I was able to get a lot of basic things working and in place, including tile maps, breakable objects that block your path, and decorations to flesh out the area. I also made transitions between different areas, such as a cave, and began working on the boss, although that is going to stretch into next month. One thing that I didn't tackle, because I don't really know how I want it to work yet, is respawning. I don't know how badly I want to punish the player for failing. Do I want to just give them another shot with whatever weapons and items they had before the area began? Should there be some sort of greater penalty, like dropping items that you have to return to collect, like in Minecraft, or money is in Terraria? Should you lose items quasi-permanently, perhaps with a chance to buy them back, like in Stardew? Personally, I'm leaning away from dropping items or money in a way that would require the player to return to the same location, because of the go anywhere open world nature that I want for the game. I don't want the player to feel obliged to return to a too difficult area if they don't want to, just because they want to get back some item that they lost. Also, screwing the player around too much for failing can break the flow of gameplay and cause rage quits. Of course, this won't really apply to the linear opening area of the game, because the player doesn't have a choice about whether or not they want to follow this path, but until I figure it out, it's going to be difficult to program respawning in, so let me know how you feel about that, because I'm really not sure how I feel about this. But that's all I really wanted to talk about for this video, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did. It lets me know that this is something you want to see more of. Remember to join the Discord, link down below. Like I said, this might make you eligible for being a beta tester down the line, and otherwise you'll get to see development updates and get a direct line of conversation with me and all of the other wonderful members of the community. And other than that, I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!